If you thought Drake's downfall couldn't get any worse, strap in. Because what's coming out now about his streaming numbers might just ruin the last shred of credibility he had left. Meanwhile, Kendrick Lamar? He's only rising higher, untouched and untouchable. So smash that like button, hit subscribe, and let's get into it, because this might be the most important video we've done yet. While Kendrick is selling out stadiums across Europe and dropping hits that are reshaping hip-hop, Drake is. Well, let's just say Spotify's latest purge of fake streams has exposed something nasty. His numbers are crumbling, and not just a little. We're talking Nicki Minaj, Kanye, and Drake all being flagged in this new wave of audits. But there's one name you won't find touched in all of this: Kendrick Lamar. Now let's talk about delusion. Drake stans have spent months trying to accuse Kendrick of faking streams, pulling wild gotcha takes based on his monthly Spotify listeners dipping post-Super Bowl. As if it's not obvious that every artist gets a massive short-term boost after performing at the most-watched TV event in the world. That's how audiences work. But here's the twist. While these clowns were busy obsessing over Kendrick's authentic chart movement, Spotify and Apple Music were quietly running audits behind the scenes, cutting fake streams left and right. And guess whose catalog didn't change a single bit? Kendrick Lamar's. But Drake? Different story. Drake's streaming empire is starting to look less like dominance, and more like smoke and mirrors. Because according to recent internal checks, a massive chunk of his catalog is now under scrutiny. And when Spotify starts scrubbing data, especially for a top-tier artist like Drake, that's not an accident. That's a red flag. Even worse, Drake's entire legal team is out here trying to convince the courts that Kendrick's hit, Not Like Us, was pushed by bots. They're seriously arguing that 10% or more of the streams were fake, while Drake's own catalog is getting silently wiped behind the scenes. You can't make this up. Let's be real. Drake's numbers have always seemed suspicious. Remember when Apple Music would autoplay his songs over and over even if you didn't ask for it? Or how his tracks would randomly show up in unrelated playlists? It's not because the songs were in demand, it's because the system was rigged. And now that rigging is starting to unravel. Even old tracks like For Free are still charting absurdly high thanks to autoplay loops. But now, with Apple Music releasing their most streamed tracks of all time, and Spotify slashing inflated stats, it's becoming painfully obvious. Drake's digital dynasty wasn't built on love. It was built on manipulation. Meanwhile, Kendrick continues to win the old-fashioned way. No bots, no gimmicks, just pure impact. From Luther to Not Like Us, nothing's changed. And while the industry resets its rules, his name remains untouched. Because like Kendrick said himself, you can rig the game, but you can't fake influence. So here's where it gets real. Drake thought he could use the courts to question Kendrick's success. But with the Not Like Us lawsuit potentially backfiring, and his own numbers being quietly dismantled by streaming platforms, we might be watching the end of the road for Drake. And it's not just because the numbers are fake. It's because the illusion of greatness is finally breaking. You can't lie your way into legacy. And Kendrick? He's standing stronger than ever, as the only rapper in the game who didn't need tricks to prove his greatness. So now I want to hear from you. Is Drake's streaming empire collapsing for good? Is this the beginning of the end for his grip on the charts? And what does this mean for Kendrick as the lawsuit heats up? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you made it this far, you know what to do. Smash that like button, subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter in this rap civil war, and stay tuned, because this story is far from over.